So to start off, I want to have you guys grab the note card I just passed out and try to write down as many of the habits that we learned about that you can remember.
Whoa.
Does anyone think they have all of them?
More than 3?
Let's write them on the board, like all work together. Okay, number 1, anybody?
Be proactive.
Okay. 2,
Begin with the end in mind.
okay. What's number 3?
Put first things first.
Number 4? What? Oh yeah, okay, win-win. Number 5?
See first to understand what to be understood.
Wow. Minus for you.
Okay, number 6? Easy, just learned it. Okay. And then 7 is something called sharpening the saw. And it turns out it actually surrounds all of the other habits and refines the things we've learned before. So,
Alright. So suppose that you find Morgan, so you go down to Lovick and you find Morgan down there chopping down a tree. And you ask her, hey Morgan, what are you doing? She said, well, can't you see I'm chopping down this tree? I'm sawing down this tree. And you tell her, you look really tired. How long have you been going? She says, for 5 hours. I'm really, really tired. And you suggest, well, why don't you stop, drink some water, and maybe sharpen the tree. Maybe that'll take you less time. And she says, you're crazy. I don't have time to sharpen the tree. I don't have time to drink water. Can't you see I'm sawing down this tree? So today's habit is habit number 7, or also known as sharpening the saw. So that means expressing. So if you guys see on your sheet there, there's a blank space for you to follow along. So sharpening the saw means expressing all 4 motivations with consistency and balance. So I'll say that again, it's really important. It means expressing all 4 motivations with consistency and balance. As Jamie mentions, habit 7 surrounds the other habits on the 7 habits paradigm because it is the habit that makes all the other possible. So without habit 7, truly all of them will not be in, like we just heard, in synergy. So there are 4 dimensions of renewal. Habit number 7 is considered a personal PC, or personal production capability. It's preserving and enhancing the greatest asset you have, which is ultimately yourself. It's renewing the 4 dimensions, which Jamie will go in depth in. It's nature, so the dimensions of your nature, which is physical, spiritual, mental, and social emotional. Sharpening the saw, as mentioned above, means exercising all 4 dimensions of nature, which we will go over, regularly and consistently, in wise and balanced ways. So again, consistency, and then finding those wise ways, and as well as balanced. So we must be proactive, and as we learned, being proactive, we can put that in quadrant 2. However, it is also considered a quadrant 1, and you can place it in quadrant 1 because it is urgent and it presses upon us frequently, time and time again. Personal PC, or personal production capability, must be pressed upon us until it becomes a healthy addiction. So we want it to be a quadrant 1 because we want it to be on us frequently. We want it to be something that, as mentioned, healthy addiction. So something that's not overtaking, but it should be something that comes second nature to us. It is at the center of our circle of influence, No one else but ourselves can do it for us. So I can't ask Spencer to sharpen the saw for me. I have to do it for myself. With that being said, we are the instruments of our own performance, and to be effective, we need to recognize the importance of taking time regularly to sharpen the saw in all 4 ways.
And those 4 ways, as Leo mentioned already, were physical, spiritual, mental, and social emotional. So you can write those down if you haven't already. So, like I said, the first one is the physical dimension. It's so important to take care of your body physically, including correct nutrition, getting sufficient rest, and exercising regularly. So exercise 2 is a quadrant 2 activity. It doesn't always seem urgent, but it's always important. Sooner or later, our health becomes a quadrant 1 activity if we don't exercise because of different emergencies that come up if you don't take care of yourself, like joint issues, high blood pressure, diabetes, and then ultimately aging poorly. So you may think you don't have time to exercise, but really you don't have time not to exercise. We have to make use of the proactivity we developed in habit 1 and find the willpower to exercise even when it seems inconvenient. So dimension 2, as we said, is the spiritual dimension. It's important to give yourself an opportunity to refocus on your core and recommit to your value system. So Covey says to draw inspiration from sources that uplift you. And this could be through worship, prayer, spending time in nature, or listening to music. This doesn't take a huge chunk of time, but it's also quadrant 2 work that will greatly improve the rest of your life. I recommend spending some quiet time in the morning to maybe read your Bible or pray, spend time in prayer, and focusing on your day. So part 3 is the mental dimension. Once we leave school, we have to make sure we don't let our brains atrophy. We have to make sure we learn new things, explore new subjects, and think critically. Proactive people find ways to continue their education even after graduation. One way to exercise your brain is through reading. It's highly beneficial to spend time each day reading good literature. Writing is another way to practice it within the mental dimension. Keeping a journal helps you clarify thoughts and reflect on your life. Can you guys think of any other ways you can develop your mental capacities even outside of school?
Playing chess.
Yeah, playing chess is good. Critical thinking aspect. And Nick mentioned earlier podcasts, that's really good. What do you say?
Maybe having debates or discussions or arguments with your family.
Yeah, getting into debates about important topics, that's a good idea. So Covey recommends to spend 1 hour every day in the first 3 dimensions, the physical, mental, and spiritual. So exercise, thinking about good things, and spending time recommitting to your value system. So just 1 hour to sharpen the physical, spiritual, and mental aspects of your life will greatly improve every other hour of your life. So get your note card back out, and I want you all to think of a small goal that includes maybe 1 or more of the first 3. We're in Lent right now, and it's a good season to develop new habits and disciplines that positively impact your life. So take a few seconds to think about that. You can add to your routine every day. And the 4th dimension is the social and emotional dimension. This focuses on habits 4, 5, and 6, and it's centered on the principles of interpersonal leadership and communication, like Susan taught us about, and creative cooperation. So we have opportunities to sharpen this dimension every time we interact with anyone else. So it's not like you have to set apart a huge chunk of time to practice it on your own, but if you just think about it daily as you interact with your friends and peers, you can greatly improve the skills in this quadrant, and then it will lead to daily public victories, which Maddie will talk more about.
Okay, so for this next part, I want you guys to think of a time where someone believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself, whether it was in sports or a test. You know, you just thought you can't do it, but someone else was there for you and they said, you know what, I believe in you. Is there anyone who would like to share at a time where they felt like someone was really pushing for them? What did you do in that? Anything?
I can share yesterday during our debate in senior sim, I was feeling a little nervous and truly didn't believe that we could bring the team home, but my teammates Travis, Enzo, Carlos, and Reggie, Ellie, they all encouraged me and let me know that everything was going to be okay. Just go up there and have fun. So that was made me feel good, and I executed it well, I believe.
Awesome, thank you. So Covey says that when someone doesn't believe, or when someone believes in you and you don't believe in yourself, they are scripting you, which helps you grow. So we are all part of a social mirror. The way we reflect others back to them matters. Remember to invest only valuable things into the emotional bank account, which is what Travis and Liz touched on Tuesday. We can help others become independent, fulfilled people capable of productive and enriching relationships. And there's a quote from the book which says, "Treat a man as he is and he will remain as he is. Treat a man as he can and should be, and he will become as he can and should be." So within the next part of the habit, we want to touch on the balance and renewal, which is the balance of the 4 dimensions Jamie just went over. And we must wisely balance these 4 dimensions because if we neglect one of them, it's detrimental to the rest. So we have to make sure that a conscious effort toward continuous improvement and renewal is in your personal mission statement, which is from Habit 2. And then the third part is synergy and renewal, which we just touched on. So balanced renewal is optimally synergetic. This means that since each of the dimensions are so interrelated, the practice you put into develop one dimension will positively impact the other dimensions. Highly effective people create and maintain the synergy between dimensions. Since the habits are sequential, working one-on-one or working on one will impact each of the others. So remember, the daily hours spent working on a daily private victory is essential to developing effective habits, and it's completely in your circle of influence. Daily private victory leads to daily public victory. Independence, personal strength, and principle centeredness lead to an abundance mentality, more win-win situations, better relationships, and an interdependent reality.
So when we think of spirals, oftentimes we think of them as a downward spiral, just like, for example, in a toilet, the spiral goes down. In this case, if you see there on the picture, it is the complete opposite, so it's the upward spiral. That's what Covey talks about in the last part of this habit. So a renewal is an upward spiral of continuous improvement, so we must continue to improve in an upward motion. Training and educating the conscious requires even greater concentration. More balanced discipline, more consistently honest living. So again, we talked about consistency and using it frequently. That is your conscious. So this requires regularly feasting on inspiring literature, just like Jamie mentioned, thinking noble thoughts, and above all, living in harmony with its still small voice. We must show diligence in the process of renewal by educating and obeying our conscious. So we have to respect our conscious as much as we respect our physical body, our mental body, our social and emotional. A well-developed conscious will lead us to a path of personal freedom, security, wisdom, and power. To keep progressing, we must learn to commit and do, learn, commit, and do, and learn, commit, and do again. So, in conclusion, in order for this habit to work synergistically for the rest, we must be able to sharpen the saw. And that takes time and focus, as we all heard. It takes a lot in our physical body, our social, emotional. We have to remember that we can't go full send and just chop down the tree. We have to take time to sharpen it. And again, it's up to us to sharpen it. We can't rely on anyone else but ourselves. That is habit 7. Is there any questions or any clarifications? Thank you.